Coach Connie filling in for Coach Bobcat today. He's already driving us nuts, Diesel.
Yeah, a little summer series in the winter.
Little summer series in the winter. You didn't know how to turn your mic up or down.
It's been a while since I've been here. I haven't been here since Christmas break for that week. But Dan came in. Diesel told me 3 extra minutes today just because I'm here.
Yeah, good.
Hey.
Three extra minutes won't get you much.
At least the general manager here knows what he's doing. Extra time for the con man.
Extra time, Diesel.
Yep.
Get to listen to him for 3 more minutes, huh, Mark? You'll be taking a good nap around 1:05 today after an hour with Connie. But listen, today a lot of good things happening. The local tournaments are winding down. The Clark tournament, they're winding down this Saturday, and the Samata tournaments are winding down this Friday and Saturday. And then next week we've got the state tournaments. It's that time of year.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yep. Today is the cutoff day.
Cutoff day at 4 o'clock today.
For your final record, and then if it's the same as last year, they go through everything tomorrow, and then they announce pairings Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if that's still the plan.
Yes, I can get the exact plan up in just a moment, but yeah, it's going to be pretty similar to that.
Of course you can, Diesel. You with that phone over there? Connie with the mic? Bobby didn't feel well this week.
No, I know. He was on there.
He just
texted him this morning.
I couldn't get him off the phone. It was great the 2 days prior. He couldn't talk. All he did was text.
Yeah.
But he did his hoop clinics. He had like 35, 40 kids.
The hockey playoffs will be coming out too, the hockey pairings, and busy time, exciting time.
All right, so here is what we've got for the tournament seeding process. And, this is, based on what they did during the fall season, which worked out pretty well. So the cutoff date, as we know, is today, Thursday, February 23rd. All regular season games in basketball and hockey must be completed by the end of the night in order to be included in the power ratings. Postseason records and qualification requirements. Oh, yeah, there was a comma, and I read it as a period. But anyway, scores have to be entered into Arbiter before the end of the night. So, yeah, there's not actually, so it's not 4 p.m. It's, I guess you can do it any time today as long as it's, because at 4 a.m. is going to be when they do the scrape of Arbiter for the final time on Friday the 24th. And that will be the last time they look at Arbiter. They will not look at it again after that. At 9 a.m., the staff will produce and publish a report on MIAA.net with each team's record broken down by division and listed alphabetically by school. All schedules and score data as reported Arbiter will be listed in there. They won't put the power ratings up, but you can see what your record is supposed to be, and you can see what scores you have entered into Arbiter at that point. If any athletic directors notice anything that's wrong, any changes that have to be made at this point, they have to email one of the liaisons. They either have to email the basketball or hockey liaison, depending on sport, or the tournament liaison in Jim Clark. And do not enter into Arbiter at that point because, again, they are not going to look at Arbiter after that final scrape at 4 a.m. And so schools have 24 hours to report corrections and all that stuff. The MIAA will use the same 24 hours to track down missing scores, make corrections. Any corrections must be verified in writing by both schools. And then at 9 a.m. on Saturday the 25th, the data will be considered final. At that point, whatever you say is what happened, even if it didn't happen. So make sure your data is all correct by that point. There's no putting out the brackets and then, we need to make a change because someone oopsied.
Exactly. I mean, it's the second year. Everybody should be comfortable with it. New ADs, I'm sure, that have been first-year ADs have been, gone to classes and sessions during their league meetings to make sure that everything is up to par. So that, if something wrong goes in, it affects not just the two
it affects other schools,
it
too.
affects every school that you play.
Yeah, honestly, it affects every school, period, for the most part.
Yeah. The advantage this year, too, as with most things, every year a little better. This year, the MIAA published as Diesel said, after Monday's games by 4 a.m. and then the same thing again for Friday. So twice a week there was an update. And,
it was good.
And they had the list of the scores, every score that they had. So if there was a game missing, you could figure out exactly what game was missing.
Yeah. Right. You're right. There's no reason why, come this Saturday when they do make the announcements that there's 100% clearness that everything is accurate,
Yep. And so the final thing to mention,
So the Samata tournament and the Clark tournaments don't count. The finals don't count in those tournaments.
Yep, because that's all Friday, Saturday.
Saturday.
And I will note that these actual brackets will be posted 10 a.m. for boys and girls hockey and 1 p.m. for boys and girls basketball on Saturday, the 25th.
Good. 10 a.m. hockey.
Write that down, my man over there.
Right.
Indoor track's done, right?
Yeah,
Thank
I think so.
God.
We still have wrestling. And,
If wrestling, they're at, I think, are they at the overall state finals now, I think? I believe they did the regional state finals.
Yeah, they're on their own. They're in their own sort of bracket as far as things
the divisional
go.
finals. I think now they're doing the overall state finals
Yeah.
this weekend, and then next weekend I think is all New England's.
Yeah. The other thing too, you mentioned the Clark and the Simata tournament and other tournaments that are held around the state. Western Mass plays games this week.
The Westboro girls tournament.
The Westboro girls tournament, the Vogue tournaments, and there are some schools that have regular season games.
I know.
Tomorrow and/or Saturday,
Yeah, I know.
knowing they won't be counted into your final rating, but nevertheless they still have, for whatever reason, postponements, or that's just when they scheduled it.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yep, I know. Fitchburg, Monty Tech, and Blackstone Valley Tech were supposed to play ice hockey at 1:30 today. I have no idea if that's still happening, but that's just to try to squeeze that in. And if they want to get that game in anyway, and they can't do it today, then it's going to have to knock out.
Right.
Yeah.
I would hate to be that team that has to play today, or it decides whether you get in or not. With the weather the way it is,
Well, that's the other thing.
Predict the weather.
That's why everyone says don't schedule one
the day
for today.
I know.
Because if you go into tomorrow, it's not going to count. And you get a day like this.
I know.
Well, for instance, in the girls' Class D, Simata, Whitensville Christian, and Maine South are scheduled to play today. I believe it was 4 or 5 o'clock to see who's going to make the final.
I know.
So, and also count for the ratings. Yeah. And I believe Whitensville Christian girls are right at 32. So that's a pivotal game. Yeah. Now, if for whatever reason, I don't know, not sure where that game was being played, either in Worcester or Whitensville, and what, the roads, et cetera. But
right.
Now it might.
I mean, the only good thing is, it did happen this week. Is there's no school anyway, so you can't say we don't have school, we don't play.
Right. You can still,
that's our policy. So they can reschedule it later on today, as long as you get the officials. Blah blah blah. So there are some games that are still meaningful out there.
Yep. So as for the high school scoreboard on the Telegram site, it's the games that we mentioned, and Burncoat playing Maine South in boys basketball. It looks like, based on how they write schedules, the game between Maine South and Whitesville Christian is scheduled for Northbridge.
Yeah.
So, and I think the weather conditions weren't as bad to the south of us.
Yeah. So it'll probably be okay.
Oh, they were worse here than they were in Clinton coming up.
Yeah. So
much. Yeah. So we'll see. But I don't know if I mentioned, we have Brad Monroe calling in.
You did tell me.
So that's going to be good. Brad is the president again of the Clark tournament, and they came back after a 2-year hiatus because of the pandemic. And
longtime coach at Blackstone,
BMR,
Millville.
Yeah,
a lot of battles with Brad through the years.
Yeah, but and they had to add the girls tournament this year, which ended up the boys played their first round games at high school sites. The small schools played at Oxford, and the large schools played over at Grafton High. So there were a lot of changes in order for them to keep the tournament. So it's gonna, it's nice to have Brad see how it went. What they think they might have to make adjustments with. And the other thing too, there were a lot of Clark tournament eligible schools who didn't apply for the Clark. They played in the Central Mass Athletic Directors tournament. So
some noteworthy ones right off the bat are
Northbridge, Clinton, Northbridge, Auburn,
Oakmont. Yeah.
Right off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And yours too.
What do you mean yours too?
Right off the top of your head.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
No, and other teams that normally in past years have played for the Clark, but opted.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that develops in the ensuing years. How teams make those decisions, or who's making that decision.
Right.
The athletic directors, is it at the principal's level?
And you don't want it to, and we've mentioned it and sort of used the analogy, you don't want it to become the PGA and the LIV, where they're competing with each other. I'm sure their goal is to run 2 quality tournaments. The
Right.
Clark has always been, that prestige Clark tournament. But like even this year, they were like Auburn and Northridge, and like
No,
you said,
number of
number of real old time Clark tournament schools did not apply. You know, and with that said, then you had teams that traditional Clark tournament schools that applied, they get in with records that normally you wouldn't even have applied, and schools get in, and it was almost like to fill the brackets. And the same with the Samata tournament.
right.
They so maybe they reduced the Samata down to 3 divisions
Yeah.
if the number of schools that didn't apply next year do apply. So, but it'd be good having Brad call in. Diesel, you're itching to say something.
Yep,
over there.
I know they've got there's some of the results that have come in. They've been setting up the championship games for tomorrow and Saturday with the CMATA and the Clark and all that stuff. And I wanted to give a little bit of props to the Littleton boys basketball team.
Yeah.
7th seed.
Yep, the
Yeah.
7th seed, 4-14 coming in, and they pulled off a couple upsets, and they're playing for the
Yeah.
Class C championship.
Who are they playing?
Clinton.
That's
Yeah.
right, 7 o'clock Friday night.
And that's
Worcester
and that's a
State.
good point that Dan made. Some people say, "Well, gee, why is this team getting in a postseason tournament?" But that's another. It's almost like at the college level when the Big East, the ACC, the SEC, they all have their league tournaments
Right.
prior to March Madness,
yeah.
and the brackets being announced, and it can make your year. It's an
and
exciting
if Littleton
thing.
was a young team, because they did get better. If you look
Yeah.
at their scores, too, they got better and better and better. So if there's a young team there, and
Gives
they,
you the impetus for next year.
oh man,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, absolutely, they beat Tingsboro and they beat Toronto.
Yeah.
Beat Toronto twice in 6 days.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of people might say at first glance, "Well, why are you letting that team in, or why
Well, they beat
why
the
should
2
they even
seed.
be in a tournament?" No, right.
Exactly.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If a school, if the kids still want to compete, if the coaching staff wants to compete, it's vacation week.
Yeah.
Back in the old days, we've all heard people say 20, 30 years ago, "Oh, I guess this is my last game, and I'll get the equipment, and we'll be all set." But if kids want to compete another week and practice and play,
Exactly.
and so there's a lot to be said on both ends.
There is. Yeah, there really is, But should be good. I mean, the Clark finals look good. The Samata finals look good. Spent some great games. Attendance has been okay. We played last night. We played South. It was good. The show we played the girls first. Played Marlboro. The Neshoba girls played first, and then the boys played second. Decent crowds.
Yeah.
For a vacation week again, kids are away. We went to see South and Leominster the other night, and I was talking to Dave Bayshant, and he was hoping more kids came. They did start at 6. Like I spoke to him at halftime, him and Steve Dubzinski, and they were saying hopefully some kids thought the game was at 7, and they start filtering in.
Yeah.
And there were a few that filtered in thinking it was a 7 o'clock game,
But I think now maybe that you're coming to the weekend,
yeah,
and school will resume on Monday, and now you're at championship games, because it was the same for us last night. Well, at St. Bernard's we had a home game in the Simata Monday night with Bethany Christian. Good crowd, not packed or anything.
yeah.
But a good,
How was Maine South last night?
Maine South, we had more. There were more St. Bernard's fans there than
Well,
Maine South.
because South was at Neshoba and North
Right. Yeah,
was at
and North was so the city people, they're going to go see North and South in those games,
Yeah.
because North's drawing huge crowds wherever they play. Worcester North.
We'll see
And,
Saturday night,
but
my man.
we had a pretty good following considered the night and the forecast, the weather, the roads. Because when we left Maine South at Claremont Academy, right off of
Right by Clark.
May Street in that area,
Yeah.
we had a 5:30 start. We left there about 7:10, and it was snowing.
Yeah.
It was already coming down, and so I'm sure that may have deterred some people from coming. But we had St. Bernard's had a little better crowd, I thought, than Maine South. In fact, I know we did.
Yeah. That's
But
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
so our boys and girls are both in the 2 on Saturday.
Yep, in the Class D finals. Just want to get the boys ice hockey ones. They're down to their finals, and they're all going to be at North Star in Westboro. It looks like the times they've entered in are rather interesting, if you want to say. Hey, so the first one, the Class B, they're going to do first. Grafton hosting Assabet. They've listed 9:30 a.m. as the start time for that first game. Then the Class C, between Littleton, Bromfield, and Gardner is going to be a noontime puck drop, and then 2:30 Algonquin hosting Westboro. Well, actually, yeah, those are two teams that normally play at North Star
Yeah.
anyway. That's the feature game, and they're putting that at 2:30.
Okay.
Those are interesting ice times, to say the least, but you get what you get.
Yeah, you got to take what you can. Now, both Neshoba teams are playing Saturday night at Worcester State.
Worcester State, yeah.
Girls at 5, boys at 7. Girls playing South, who's unbeaten, and the boys were playing North.
North. Wow, that'll be so. You have the two city schools, so that'll be a packed house. It'll be
Should be good.
and like as we said, North has drawn tremendous crowds from throughout the state. As we mentioned on our pre-show talk earlier today, every school in Division One who hasn't seen North yet, but has heard all the hype and wants to get a look at them.
They can.
If they're not playing Saturday night, so you're going to have Lawrence and everybody coming to Worcester State to get
Should
a
be
look
good.
to
Should
get a
be
look
good.
at the polar bears.
Yeah, should be good. Hey, we have Brad Monroe on. Coach?
Good afternoon. How's it going?
Great. How are you doing?
Very good, thank you. Very well.
Hey, thanks for calling in. You know, we figured it'd be a great time to have you back on the show, as normally you call in and the ratings go skyrocketing up here in Fitchburg when they hear that you're calling. But it'd be a good time because you're now into the finals of the tournament, the Clark, which is back after a 2-year hiatus. How did it go?
Well, it's been different. It's not your usual clock tournament, that's for sure, but it's gone well. We've had many changes, and we're down to the finals of the boys' large and small division on Saturday night.
Yeah. You got Hopedale and I just wrote it down.
Hopedale's playing David
Prouty, who's unbeaten. You got Milbury and Shepherd Hill, two old Swickle rivals.
Yeah, you've got a 1 and 2 seed and a 1 and 3 seed.
Yeah. How are the crowds been? How were the crowds in the first round, Brad? At Oxford and then at Grafton.
Well, they were probably a little less than they would normally be. I think there's an awful lot going on that Saturday around all the schools with all their sports. But it was good, and we were fortunate to have such good venues. Kevin Anderson and Kevin May did a tremendous job, each of them, at Oxford and Grafton to host the first round.
Good. And then the girls' tournament, I just read someone finished up last night.
We had them both finished. We had Sutton win the small division, and Grafton won the large division.
Nice. And were the crowds decent for them?
The crowds were pretty good. They had their entire tournament at the Nella Center on campus of Clark University. Sunday, we had the 2 semifinals sets a game, and last night we had the finals. And the first game was a great audience. Sutton and Milbury. The second one was a little light. I think the weather had a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
I also know that Grafton had a boys' game and a basketball game and a hockey game that day or earlier that night.
Yeah.
But the weather, I think, hampered it just a little bit.
It did. I bet it did. Connie was
Brad, hi, it's Connie. How are you?
Connie, how are you?
I'm okay, thank you.
Good.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, too, about, you mentioned that, and that's been my take during the year, too, in the regular season, is hockey seems to be getting more interest at the high school level, at the schools that have it, and the co-op schools. And when they play on the same night, I've noticed that both at home and on the road, it
really?
Yeah, it kind of hurts. It helps the hockey, because students want to go to both, if...
Tanya
if
did say when some nights we had games at Neshoba, and she would say, we have a hockey game tonight. And a lot of the kids, like you were saying, Connie, they're really getting into the hockey, and especially when you get a co-op, because now you're getting 2 and 3 other schools going there. And in a basketball, you're only getting your host school, so... I've seen definitely a difference in it when there is
when it's the same night.
Same night, yeah.
But last night with the Sutton Milbury game, the side behind the benches, which is mostly, non-students, that was packed. And I think the student contingent from all the schools has been a little bit down.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's again, it's back after 2 years. It's a little bit different than it's been, but at least you guys are able to get it back on the ground. Get get your feet wet again, and let's hope that the administration at Clark sees the value in having and hosting that tournament on their campus.
Yeah, that's something we continue to talk about. It's tough to expand the tournament and invite 8 or more, hopefully, girls teams, yet not have as many games in the Nella Center.
Right.
But we understand that there's the teams that practice and play there, and intramurals and so on. But once we got back into the Nella Center, it did seem and feel like a typical Clark tournament.
Yeah.
But those first days at Grafton and Oxford, as well as it went, I feel the worst for the 8 teams that lost on Saturday and said, wow, that was the Clark tournament, and they weren't even...
Right.
Right.
Yep. Brad, yourself and Tony had spoken about that last week, too, as both guys, as you know, who love the Clark and always played for the Clark at Clinton and West Boylston, and considered it an honor and a privilege, as our student athletes did, to compete there. It was such a...
It was a goal.
Wonderful. Yeah, it was a goal for the year, every year. And, the bus ride in that first Sunday or Monday, whenever you were playing that quarterfinal game, it was just special.
Yeah.
And I think just as an outsider now, coaching at a school that, would not be eligible for the Clark anyways at St. Bernard's, but it just seems to me, from now an outsider looking in as a Clark legacy lover of the tournament, it seems like it takes a little luster off of it.
Oh, I agree. It's not the same, and we would like to have... I think the two things that were downside, a lot happened with COVID.
Yeah.
One of them was the new MIAA playoff setup was not in place in 2020 when we last had the Clark.
Right.
Right.
So the statewide tournament and the power ranking system, this is all a major aspect of what coaches look at when they schedule teams and when they play games.
Right.
And it didn't used to be that way in 2020 and before. And the other thing is the Central Mass districts, as we all used to know it, that peaked at WPI in the first week of March. That whole Central Mass kind of thing is gone, and it's a statewide tournament. So all that has happened since the Clark last existed, and we've tried to move with the times. We did go to the power ranking system ourselves to select and seed the teams.
Right.
But the fact that we had to play fewer games in the Nella Center meant we had to look elsewhere.
Yeah.
So the two things that we need to keep looking at is our teams don't get a 20th game unless they win the first game.
Right.
And I think a lot of them are concerned about that. And we're not on a college campus for every game.
Yeah. Brad, what happened to the waiver? Remember Mark used to get the waiver every year?
Yeah. Well, we would have had it, except other tournaments started to happen, and the state across the board for the Samata tournament and the Westboro girls tournament and our tournament, all tournaments, they would waive the championship game in a tournament like that. So that everybody got a 21st game,
right,
if it was a championship game,
right,
not just a regular game. So that rule came to us as well as it went to everyone else, which means teams could only schedule 18 across the state and have 2 more in a tournament.
right.
And the championship game in that tournament is waived.
Right.
So we couldn't get two
Okay.
games waived. We can only get the championship game waived.
Okay, I see now.
That's why we had to work to get our girls' 20th game in before the cutoff point, which is tonight or tomorrow morning, whenever it is. Tonight,
Yeah. Now, do you think, or is it already going to happen? Are you going to try to expand the girls to a 16-team field? Is that one of the goals of the new administration at Clark University, or is it going to stay as a 8-team seeded tournament and then play the two first rounds of the boys large and smalls off campus? I'm sure you don't have the answer, but are you guys at least looking to somehow get everything? And I know, like you were saying, it's gym time, but trying to get everything on campus. Even if you had to play the first round on a Saturday instead of a Sunday, or a Friday instead of a Saturday or Sunday. Because I was telling Connie, I can remember one year when Clinton qualified. For some reason, we did play our first round game on a Saturday. Because I can remember we were doing our Saturday morning basketball, the high school boys varsity basketball team. We used to do a clinic every Saturday morning at the old Clinton High School. And I can remember us having to have the girls and or the JVs coach, ref, and keep score of the youth league games so that we could get on a bus and go to the Neller Center. So, is it something that you would like to do, but it's going to depend on gym availability?
Well, like you said, we've had 2 years of COVID.
Yeah.
And in that time, the Clark tournament, the operation of it came under some scrutiny from Clark administration, and we have the terms that we have now. Now, Ted Gamula is my co-president of the Clark Tournament Committee, and we've spent a lot of time with the General Committee talking about this particular tournament.
Yeah.
And as you know, we want to be fiscally responsible. We're going to look at how this tournament is going to shake out.
Yeah.
It's one thing to talk about the players and the coaches and how happy and everybody is, but if the bottom line of the tournament is that it's going to operate at a significant loss, then this model may not be sustainable.
Right, exactly.
On the other hand, if we hang in there, now we had more income with the fans that attended the girls' games, but we have more expenses to run those games. So we'll see how it goes. We still want to give scholarships, which is why we're doing the whole thing, one of the reasons. Anyway, so we really haven't gotten to what's going to be next. Yeah. We're going to do a very good analysis of this particular format and see how it goes financially. And we always have a survey at the end of the tournament for the coaches and the ADs, and we're going to expand that to the ones that didn't apply for their input as well.
Yeah, because there were a lot of Clark-eligible schools that opted into Samata tournament. And if you ask around, a lot of them had different reasons, but it did come down. A lot of them was the 20th game.
Well, it was
and not playing on Clark.
I mean, that's what, and I think that's great, Brad, that you're opening the survey to to everyone, not just the teams that participated this year, but in talking to coaches throughout the last month or so, and I know Tony will agree with this too. That was one of the key things, was not having the first round on campus.
Yeah, it really was.
At the Noah Center.
And I'm sure you know that. And it was because, we played Neshoba, we played a lot of Clark eligible schools, and that was one of the reasons. Even when we were scouting schools, if I ran into a coach or an AD or someone that I knew, that was always one of the reasons that they said, and plus the other thing too is, and you said it too, Brad, and then we're going to go to a break, but since the COVID pandemic, there's been a big turnover in athletic directors and coaches too.
There certainly has been.
So there's been a big change in 3 years. Listen, we're going to go to a quick. Are you teaching math today down at Bryant?
No, I have the day off. I am free to talk to you until 6 o'clock or whenever you
All right, we'll meet at Breen's then right after this.
All right.
All right, we're going to a quick break and we'll be back.
If the
And welcome back to the Thursday afternoon high school lunchbox here in Fitchburg at the K Zone at 105.3 FM and AM 1280. We have Brad Monroe on, the co-president of the Clark tournament, with Teddy Gamula, the retired athletic director at Quabbin Regional High School. Brad, thanks for holding on. Listen, we actually had not a call in, but somebody a text in. Are you going with 3 officials in the finals at the Clark?
That is a good question. We opted because one of the co-presidents, yours truly, is on the frugal side. We had 2 officials for the quarterfinals of the boys, but the semifinals for all divisions and finals have 3 officials.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
Good.
Very good.
You know, though, we talked a lot earlier about, and I think our whole conversation was before and now, but you know, I just read the article on the championship game last night and the excitement that, in the picture in the Telegram, how excited the girls were.
Right.
So on that side, you might see more of an interest now.
Right. I think in talking to Jerry Deshays, our officials liaison, who is in pretty good touch with many of the women's coaches and athletic directors of those schools, a lot of them were just kind of waiting and seeing how it was going to go.
Right.
The other thing is, before Samata, there's been girls' tournaments, like Pete Traynor ran one at Wachusett for years.
Yes,
that was like the Clark for girls.
Yeah.
Pete Trainor's tournament. Yeah.
And there was a Nipmuc tournament over the years, and Joanna DeCarlo and Westboro is in its 20th year.
Yeah.
So we weren't just coming into this thinking that we're going to fill this great void. Lots of the schools from our 42 eligible schools already had plans.
Right.
And historical, traditional plans. So we knew that we weren't going to have necessarily as many applicants among the girls' teams.
How many applicants did you have, by the way?
We had 15 teams, girl teams, apply for the 8 spots.
That was good.
And we had about 26 boys teams, which is really about normal.
Yeah.
That's
right.
Yeah. Well, it is because right.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. I've been on that committee because usually get 26 to 30, and
you
some
are still on that committee, by the way.
Oh, I don't get any emails. I would show. I don't. I would. I have time. I'd still come in.
I will make sure you'll get special delivery emails from me.
I would. I would. I'd sit in that corner with those Bonts in the corner.
Where at Breen's?
Oh, how about that night? Hey, Brad, remember that night? Tony
put the chair out there for you to sit in, and it's been empty.
How about the night Tony Pront and I, Brad said, you guys have the corner down there, blah, blah, blah. We had the corner at Breen's. We never left. Brad came in after the game with Mark Donahue. Hey, we could see the game, but...
Yeah, you could see on TV the empty seats that you should have been in.
Yeah. Those are good times. Really good times. But anyways, so when this is over, like normal, you'll have a meeting in a couple weeks of the committee, and then you'll start getting feedback from the schools that played in it and the schools that were eligible that didn't apply to get in,
Right.
and then you'll just have to run with it from there. But so, have you gotten any feedback from the university itself?
They're thrilled that the girls' teams are involved. Joseph Corazzini, the vice president of Community and Government Affairs, was at the finals last night and addressed the crowd after each game, and was happy to have the girls' tournament there. He was there all for the whole session.
Nice.
Oh, very good.
He and the provost have been the two primary representatives above the athletic department that we've been working with.
Yeah.
Now, if you do expand to 16, there's probably that possibility that would happen this year with the boys and the gym time. You don't know what the gym time is going to be like now for next year. There'd probably be a possibility that the first round girls games would have to be held at a high school.
That's one thing. If we have, 4 separate 8-team divisions, we probably would be looking at either high school sites or maybe some other of the 12 colleges in Worcester. Send me an email and say, let's talk.
Yeah.
We are looking for a college setting, that's for sure. And if we can't have the Nella Center, which would be ideal the whole time, those are the two things that I know we're going to have to look at is the 20th game for everybody and the college setting.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing, Brad, that even after, as you said, and so appropriately, out of the pandemic now and back as things were, but you've targeted the two main concerns, and so that's a good thing just after 1 year's experience.
Right. I didn't realize the 20th game was such a big factor, and I spent a lot of time studying through coaches that I know and trust about how that point system affects their life, because I'm not coaching anymore. I would be all over it if I was, but I'm not.
And that's a sad fact in and of itself. Myself and Tony were just talking about that during the break, about your teams at BMR and your style and just everything, your professionalism.
Yeah.
Sorely missed.
Yeah. But you're right, though. I mean, now that we're back in coaching again, Connie at the varsity level and me at, JV, and how big that 20th game is with this new rating system.
You know why it's such a huge thing, Brad? And I went through it last year and almost this year, too, is if you finish with the 18 games, and if you're 9-9, and you get in a tournament, and you lose the tournament, and you're going to be under the 32 or higher than 32 in the rating, so you finish 9-10, you're not going to make the state tournament.
Right.
So that's why everyone wants the 2 games.
Right.
Because
but I'm old, and I remember, actually that rule...
Well, I'm older than you.
That situation of being 9-9 and losing the first round of the Clark tournament, let's say, is 82-year-old situation.
Right.
Oh, and that happened to me once at West Boylston.
Yeah.
And I remember that people asked us that year, and I said, "Well, this was my love and affinity for the Clark tournament." Yeah. And the kids were the same way. I said, "We would much rather have the opportunity to play in the Clark."
Yeah.
Yeah. And if
I like to preach a lot of patience, because being my age, I always tell these young coaches, it's a big deal to go from 19 to 20, but I coached for 3 seasons in the dark ages of the 80s when we had 14 games because due to Proposition 2.5, my school just sent out non-league games.
Yeah,
so my season
I remember that.
was 14 games, and we didn't have a game until after Christmas. And obviously, we've all lived to tell this tale. So it's not ideal. And I remember my first year coaching varsity basketball girls at Blackstone. We were 12-7 and didn't make the districts.
Right.
Because you had to win 70% of your games.
Correct.
Exactly.
Yeah. It used to be 70, then it went to 65, then to 59.
Yeah.
Then it was open.
Yeah. And then it was open.
Yeah.
That's
now it's really opened.
Yeah.
I mean,
So it changes, and it will probably change again. But the concept of playing a game and losing by less than 10 and having that be a more beneficial situation than beating somebody,
I know.
That's foreign to me. I got to get used to that.
Yeah,
I know. It's different to put your head around as a coach again. It really is. I mean, there was a day when you got your 19-game schedule and you played. And that's why, we used to open up at St. John's. I used to say to my kids, hey, if we end up 9-10, and St. John's was one of our lot, we didn't deserve to go to the tournament or the Clark if we we had that type of year. But now with the point system and your opponent value and all this other stuff, it's
Yeah. Well, that's something that they're going to have to
yeah.
tweak too. That's all new as well. And the COVID year a couple of years ago was really a different type of year. So, as you mentioned, Brad, times change, and this is changing with it. And I'm
Yeah.
sure the state tournament will have to evaluate as the years go on.
Yeah.
And I get the gamble coaches are looking at being 9-9 or whatever. But if you are a good team, you should feel pretty confident that you're going to get your 20th game just by winning the first round of anything.
Right.
And, it's not automatic, but
no, and that's how we. No, I was going to say,
yeah,
that's how we looked at it this year at St. Bernard's. We only had the 18 games, and we wanted to be in the Somata for 2 more games. I told the kids, hey, 20 games is better than 18 games.
Yeah.
It gives you 2 more chances to play. And if we happen to lose, if we're in that situation and we lose both, then, we didn't make it. We didn't, we had our chance and didn't get it done.
Yeah, you can't blame it on the last 2 games.
No.
There's games in December and January and early February that you could have, should have won. So you just can't blame it on the 19th game or the 20, whatever,
But you want to play.
But young coaches, that's where the change comes. Like we said before the break, Brad, I mean, there's a lot of new athletic directors now that don't really know much about the Clark. And there's some coaches now that don't know much about the Clark. And where that whole old regime now has gone, I mean, with Tony Peranto leaving Bartlett, I mean, that was the shock of the year this year. But, these other young coaches need to hear it, and they need to be guided in the right direction, because there's nothing like the Clark. I mean, there was nothing. Winning that was better than anything.
We're in the recruiting of young blood for our committee, and I'm looking at the young coaches, and because since COVID, I mean, we've lost some mainstays. I mean, John Dildorian Sr., George Albro, Dick LeDuc, Billy Gibbons Sr. I mean, these were just regular people you would see every year at the Clark.
Yeah.
And they've sadly passed on.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, just, it's funny the things you think of, Brad, as you go back into the Clark. But one of my fondest my memories every year was you'd be in whatever game you were in, quarterfinal, semifinal, or the title game, and about 2 minutes left in the game, John Dildorian comes by and gives you the piece of paper with the names of the kids he wants in the media room.
Yep.
Oh,
it could be during a timeout.
Yeah, it was just, I mean, it's a tie game with a minute and a half left, and all of a sudden you have a timeout and you're doing this, and you got your board, and all of a sudden you get a tap on the shoulder and he gives you the slip.
I'll never forget one year.
That tradition continues. I did it last night.
Oh, God.
I only have the courage to approach a assistant coach.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. He handed it to Bonts, and he always had a joke. And all of a sudden, it was during a timeout late in the game, and all of a sudden I could hear Bonts just laughing hysterically behind me. And I turned after the 1, 2, 3 Gales, and I looked, and John Dildorian was telling him a joke. Bonts got a piece of paper in his hand. I'm like, oh, but you're right. That was, and then seeing Phil Lagerstrom in his Chuck Taylor high top underneath with Phil Harris and those guys underneath the basket.
Always sitting on the baseline.
I know. Yeah, a lot of great traditions.
The post-game media, the kids being interviewed by the reporters and the journalists, and it was just everything about it. The halftime stats, everything. Post-game stats.
But they're back. I mean, they're back, and I'm sure.
But those are the things that newer guys or coaches, girls, women, they're not aware of, the uniqueness.
Yeah. But it seems like, Brad, it went well, and the girls' tournament went extremely well, and you've got your finals coming up this weekend, and then you'll sit down.
We're looking forward. Those finals should be 2 excellent games.
Oh, yeah. Jimmy Donnelly against Mike Raposa, now that'll be tremendous.
Yeah.
2 great coaches there.
Yeah, and the fan bases, I think, have been good all week. You know, those teams are generally supported very well by their fans, and should be a great night Saturday.
Well, the four of them are traditional Clark tournament teams. I mean, Prouty, I think, has been there longer than any other high school. And I did read where Millbury was playing in its 50th year of the Clark tournament, and Shepherd Hill, Hopedale and Shepherd Hill, when they were in the Swickle, always played for it. So, yeah, you're probably going to have a great night. And let's hope everything works out. And next year at this time, when we have you call in this week, you'll have some more great news for us. Good to know I'm still on the committee.
You're both welcome to come down Saturday night and enjoy the games in person.
We got games.
We have games in the Samata, Brad.
Yeah, we have North and.
Good looking though, so you're in the finals,
right?
Yeah.
We at St. Bernard's, both boys and girl. Well, the boys, we have Whitensville Christian, who we split with in the regular season, so that'll be a great. We're looking forward to that. The kids are excited, and our girls are in the final too from St. Bernard's, and they'll play the winner of Whitensville Christian and Maine South. They're playing today, and then Tony and.
Yeah, we have our girls are playing South at 5 at Worcester State, and the Neshoba boys are playing North at 7 Saturday night at Worcester State. So, yeah, should be a good weekend of basketball in the city. Yeah.
Yeah. So all
3 colleges.
Yeah, the 3 colleges will all be
filled with high school kids.
Excellent. Good luck to all of you.
Yeah, you too. Hey, listen, keep in touch. Get me an email.
I will. I will. Thank you.
All right.
Brad, it's great talking to you.
Always great. Thank you for taking your time.
Nice to talk to you guys.
Yeah, bye-bye. All right, we're going to go to another break, and then we'll be right back.
Network with insurance providers, treatment is affordable and accessible. Don't wait. Call 1-888-RECOVERY today.
Oh, good.
And welcome back to the
just finishing up here.
Thursday afternoon lunchbox.
Yeah, with our 3 extra minutes.
Because you're here.
Yeah.
3 extra minutes.
You know, talking to
you
Brett,
can do a lot with 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Pat says I'm verbose.
He's listening.
I don't know if he's listening, but he says I'm verbose.
He texted
but
me.
anyways,
he texted me last night. You know, Mr. C was driving the bus.
The van.
Well,
but anyways, Brad brought up a good point, and you were talking about that, how the girls, the women playing now in the Clark tournament, and that's exciting. That's great. And on the Samata too. So on these postseason tournaments, and we're going to do at St. Bernard's next year. I already talked to Ray Cousins about it, like we did at West Boylston, and I know you did at Clinton too.
Yeah.
When a couple nights during the year, on Friday nights probably, have the boys and girls play together, and one night the girls play first, the boys play second. Let's say 5:30 and 7.
Yeah.
And then the next time it's the opposite. The boys play first and the varsity girls play second. The JVs would play at the other school in the afternoon, so they get back. Yeah. So it's a great thing to have the girls get to be a feature.
The feature,
game.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, they did that too when they used to play the Midwatch All-Star basketball games.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, we used to coach them.
We used to coach them, and some years the boys played first and the girls played second. And it was great. It's great to have the girls also get that primetime game. And I'm sure you're going to see that. I mean, you're going to see it in the Clark. You could just sense Brad.
Yeah, the more teams
and I'm sure the
start to do
Samata, you'll start to see that too.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the Samata's in its infancy.
Yeah, second year.
And basically Clark's in the infancy of a whole new format.
Like first year. Yeah, everything, like Brad said, everything has changed post-COVID.
I know. So it was great to have him call in. But best of luck to all the schools that are in the tournament.
Certainly, it's always an exciting time of year, postseason basketball, and then once you get into the
state,
college and too with March Madness at all the divisions.
Nice thing too, Neshoba. If we end up, I think we were 5th in the state ratings this week.
Well, they'll be coming out again. Finally,
but we should. I mean, we won, so we're not going to drop. But we could host 2 games if we win the first. I mean, it's going to be great playing North.
Yeah, our girls will host the game. I think we'll host the game at St. Bernard's, the first round game. We were 28th going into last
Yeah.
night, and last night's win. I don't know
Yeah.
where that will put us, but we
You know-
shouldn't drop down any, so we're going to have one of those elimination round
Yeah.
games. But we'll have a home game
Yeah.
Monday or Tuesday, probably.
It'd be great for the kids to be back to school and
Yeah.
get them all
A lot of
fired up back
excitement
into the
and-
rhythm. Brad mentioned it a little bit about WPI. We always
Oh,
talk. When you were coaching, you win the league was your first goal. Get to the Clark
Get
was
to
your
the Clark.
second, and third was to get to WPI.
Get to
And if you
WPI.
did that, Diesel, that was considered a
Fantastic year.
great year.
Because that had its own unique feel, too.
Oh,
and that's
absolutely.
the thing with tournaments. Walking into Clark, that first round game was special.
Walking in
WPI for a semifinal game
Oh, yeah.
was a whole different type of special.
Oh yeah, up into the old
Both
locker
the
room.
same,
Yeah.
different feelings, but it just
Different-
so
different
exciting for the
uniqueness.
kids. It
Yeah.
really is, and coaches too. Everyone, fans, parents.
Absolutely.
Great environment being on a college campus.
Yeah, it is. It really is. But we have hockey, Diesel, this
Yeah.
weekend coming. We have a lot of stuff. Next
come
week
on.
could be a great show. You'll be back in school,
Yep, Bobby will be back.
What do you call him? Coach Bobcat, right, Mark?
Bobcat.
Right out of Gardner.
Bobcat.
Yeah, the Gardner.
Oh, that's gonna stick.
I think it should.
Bobcat.
Mark put it on him.
Oh, Mark, good job.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
his old
Diesel
nickname.
Dan, Bobcat,
Bobcat. What a
the Hawk Wolf,
the wolf. Yeah,
the Wolf.
yeah. And the Cardinal.
Oh, the Cardinal.
And the
yeah.
Cardinal, right
That's
over
what they
there.
call me, Dan, the Cardinal.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything's good though. People out there be safe driving. It's supposed to get worse. Day goes on, a little bit of rain.
Gonna get cold this
Cold.
afternoon and frigid Saturday.
Yeah. Hey, good luck to you. Good luck
Thank
to
you.
all
Good
the
luck to
schools.
everyone. Yeah.
All the schools.
to everyone.
Enjoy the weekend, and we'll see you back here next week, same time,
I won't be here.
except for Coach
The
Cardinal.
Cardinal.